So how does a PhD actually work? I don't think I've actually talked about that on this channel. I think it's super important for you to understand how a PhD actually works. And the answer is that it's really simple. You're just trying to create some new idea or a series of new ideas that nobody else has thought about before. Seems really simple, right? That there's really not much to it. However, it's really tough because you have to figure out what it hasn't been done, and then how do you actually write that thing or discover that thing that people have not done before. And so that's where the tricky part is. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole Reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So our job when you do a PhD is you're signing up to create new knowledge. That's really what you're doing. It is a research career. So doing a PhD is a research career. And so because of that, you have to understand how to create new ideas. And it is a lot more trickier than you think it is, right? So in one way, it's just a simple extension of what you've been doing. So I always just say that I do reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's really it, right? You write a lot. Of those, 60% to 70% of your time is probably going to be writing. 20% of your time is going to be reading, and then 10% of your time is arithmetic. And depending on what stages you're on, it's going to be totally different. Early on in your PhD, for the first couple of years in most PhD programs in North America, and it's changing across the world, there has been sort of a change of what's happened. So the original PhDs, what you do is it was very much this kind of apprenticeship type model where you would go and learn something with somebody that's a master, right? Or that's not necessarily a good terminology these days, but somebody that is a lead in an area, and they would go and understand what that thing is, right? And you would sort of learn the skills as you're doing that. So there was no coursework or anything like that. But there has been a lot of standardization that's happened within different schools, and especially in business schools, in the social sciences. There's been a lot of standardization. And so there's generally, there used to be just 1 year of coursework, but now there's 2 years of coursework. And those courses, you're going to be understanding things within the particular area of what you're going to investigate. So in my field, it is strategy. You might take an innovation course, for example, or an entrepreneurship course. But then you do things about understanding the broader context of science and understanding how to actually do some of this research. So you take research methods and you take some statistics and things like that, where you understand what it means to do research in that particular area. But then you go out after that, after those couple of years of additional training, you go out and you try to make a discovery of some sort. Now the discovery can vary in terms of being very unique and different, and nobody else has really discovered this thing, or it's an extension of something that somebody's already done. And so everything in general, all knowledge is just a simple extension of what other people have done, right? So one of my advisors told me it's just 80% of anything that you write has been sort of repeat knowledge, and 20% is novel. And I think that is probably true with anything that you do. And so you have to think about. So here's the challenge, and this is the thing that's unique and different, is that you have to show what the thing you're working on is unique and different, but also the same as what everybody else has been doing, right? So you have to get into the mindset. You're really a novelist, or you're really, an author, and you're getting into the mindset of getting somebody to follow along on the story. So you get them to jump into that story and understand what that story arc is, and to the point you're just walking them through to the point you get to the very end, and they're like, oh my God, that's really cool. Nobody else has thought about that thing, and I'm super happy that you thought about that thing. So there's very much this narrative story that you tell in all fields. And this narrative story that you're telling should be easy enough that somebody with like a grade 7, grade 6 education should be able to pick this thing up and start reading it and making sense of it. Now, I know that's hard to do for some fields, but that is the level of what you're getting at, right? If you're looking at the lead journals and you read a couple of the lead journals in any of your area, that in broader, in the broader area. So you look at American Scientific, for example. They try to make it as easy to understand as possible. It's not easy, but they try to make it as easy to understand as possible. So you're getting the conversation of what's going on that's unique for the specific field, but then also that somebody could pick it up and understand that thing. So the storytelling, the authorship, the novelist component of it is so important. It is far more important than any other thing that you're going to do within within the career. And even if you are a good methodologist, you're a good person that understands statistics and numbers and all those kind of things, you're still storytelling with the data, you're storytelling with the numbers. And so this aspect of storytelling, this aspect of what it means to actually sit down and walk people through things, that becomes more and more important. And all of the career is learning how to tell stories, right? How we actually learn as human beings, and we forget that, right? We sort of, there's been a transition in terms of understanding this, right? So we went from this sort of, third person, person that I forgot what the terminology is called, but where you step back and you try to be like a bystander and not really try to interject yourself within research and science. And we're really that way up until about the 1970s. And then we've sort of switched, and we know that storytelling is such a really important thing. So almost all scientific articles now is about authorship and telling that story and getting people to understand what you're doing. So it's really not about being boring, but it's really about getting people excited about something. So you're building anticipation, you're building a lot of, just making people feel like, oh my God, I did not know that was possible. So that is really what you are doing with the field, and that's really what you're doing with a PhD, is you are storytelling. You are understanding what the current stories are, what are the current narratives that are in the field, and then you are going and telling something that is unique and different. So that's the challenge. That's actually the really difficult part is to understand what has been already done, but also understanding, how do I communicate this thing? How do I tell this story? What sort of data do we use? What angle do we use to tell this story that I think I have something that's interesting? And so for me, what I've learned, and I think this is useful for you, is to tell this story is you have to tell your story. You have to tell the thing that's unique for you, and you have to do that discovery of, this is where there's a lot of introspection and thinking about things, is what am I about? What is unique about me that I can tell? And everybody has all sorts of unique stories. And so leveraging the thing that you love and leveraging the thing that you, what is your bucket list? What's the thing that you've always wanted to do? What is the thing that, what is unique about you? What is really cool about you? But also, what do you want to do for, 20 years and do that discovery? That's going to be super, super important for you. And it's going to be super important for you to be really excited. Remember, I said 20 years, right? So by the time you actually do this and you actually get a little bit of fanfare of your thing that you're doing, it takes 20 years. And so you have to do it for a long time. And a lot of people would say that's crazy to do something for 20 years in a really unique area, a really small area. But that's you get excited about it every time you pick it up. If you're doing something that you really like, and there's always infinite amount of work to be done in the area, and it never disappears. People say, that's one of the assumptions when they come in, is they think like, oh, it's already been done before. So very few people have done that particular thing. And somebody might say, hey, somebody's going to steal my idea. No. All you have to do is, somebody's done that thing, you just leverage and pivot off of them. You're going to find some different insight. You're going to look at the world differently because you are different. You're different than them, and you can leverage that. And you have to remember that as you go into the career. So managing all of these things, right? This is where I'm coming from, is that you have a lot of insecurities, you have a lot of life that you're going to live, and you have to manage that to be able to become productive and successful in the career. So that's how a PhD actually works, and that's what you're going to do. And however you quickly, you determine how quickly you get through it. There is a process, but as well as you determine how quickly you get through it, because it's very much a solo endeavor about introspection and thinking about you and what you're doing and where you want to go. So with that, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.